Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Glad you came to join us.
You can't stop the sound. Long range of 2, turn miles around. What? You can't stop the sound. Long range of 2, turn miles around.
Alright, so this is Robomb. This was made by Caitlin, Mariola, Marlena, and myself, Cole. Caitlin has done the character design, modeling, animations, tutorial level design, and the VFX. Marlena has worked on UI, score system, and the dialogue system, as well as pretty much everything you see on the UI. Mariola has been working on level design and environment design, and also telling the story. I've worked on the mechanics and kind of core gameplay, so the grenade's impulse, the way it affects the player, the way it throws you around, the way it throws around enemies and obstacles, and anything pretty much related to the grenade. Some of our core design philosophies and decisions that we made early on was to keep our game focused around one primary mechanic, and we really just wanted that one mechanic to feel really good and be very enjoyable for players to utilize, and we designed the levels to really kind of play up that. The other things that we did is we did a lot of focus on polish, and we didn't want to go too crazy. Instead, we kind of focused on getting one small thing that felt really good to play. We kept the scope deterministic, so we didn't go too crazy with the scope. We tried to keep it pretty similar to how we started, and we didn't really go beyond that. So our game is set in a large futuristic kind of cyberpunk city where there's an evil corporation called Fig Corp, which you will see hints of around the level design. Primary inspirations would be games and shows like Cyberpunk, Jet Set Radio. We're also a big fan of explosions. Those are pretty cool. I feel like we did good with that here. Movement games. So a lot of kind of like running games, games that were focused around speed running and trying to get the best time you can. Alright, so I'm Cole. I'm going to be demoing part of the game that I have worked on. So the primary kind of mechanic I had worked on was the grenade. That is kind of the core of our entire gameplay. Throughout the whole process, there was at least 3 kind of major revisions, kind of scrapped everything and started from scratch pretty much in the event graph. There was a lot of, whenever we got playtester feedback, we went and iterated on it, and I have refined and refined it and refined it, and this is kind of what we ended up with. One of the primary things, initially it wasn't like this, but let me go demo this here. If we go go quite high up and then we're falling down, if I explode again, it'll get rid of all of the downward velocity. Initially, this wasn't the case. This was something that we added later with player feedback, and then along with another mechanic, which is that it is additive. So if I just do this versus jumping and doing that, you can see I go much higher, and that's because it's adding the force on in the upwards direction, but it does cancel it out if I don't do that. Another thing is we have the grenades set up so you can throw them at any points. As you can see there, I chucked one and it hit that wall. This was an interesting system and was kind of tricky to deal with. If there was one thing that I had learned that I'd like to change, I wouldn't have done that mechanic. There's a very direct consequence of that, which is we have our our camera right now, I have to use right click to move it around. And this is because we got constant complaints about the camera. So we kind of tried to implement it, and it was a real challenge. This is the best we got, which is honestly, I don't think it's too bad. It's not ideal though, so I'm using right click and panning around essentially, but you get stuck if you go too much off to the side. Main limitation of this was because when I'm looking around and when I'm clicking somewhere, this is we're doing some casting here, and in short, with the way the relationship for that's set up, it would cause a feedback loop, and if I were to just move the mouse and move the camera, then it would keep going, which made it very challenging to control. As for other aspects of the grenade, I'll briefly go over here. So we've got impulse that it does to things in the map. There's also some fracture stuff that's set up, and there's also ragdolls. So that was another aspect that I had implemented. It took me a very long time to get that to work, as there was some interesting complications I had ran into. Switching grenade types, this was something that took a long time and a lot of iterations to kind of come up with. Originally we were going to have left click and right click, and then so now we've got scroll wheel to change between them, or Q and E also work.
Well, my name is Kaylin, and I was one of the artists on the Robomb team. I helped to design the player character, model and rig them, and create and implement animations for them in-game. The goal for the character design was for a bomb defusal outfit or look, mostly inspired by Jet Set Radio's designs, and I guess her spiritual successor, Bomber Cyberpunk, with bold shapes and colors and strong silhouettes. It would be a speedster character who runs fast to tie it into gameplay also. For a speedster character, I felt that a bomb squad outfit would feel too heavy. I decided to add bomb-like things into his design instead. Some examples being a bomb-shaped helmet, his jacket being a bomber jacket, collar being large to mimic bomb squad collars. The zippers are segmented similar to the pineapple and pattern seen on grenades, and a zipper end on his jacket looking like a grenade pin. I was also aware I'd be modeling this character, so I kept the design as simple as possible, relying on the strong silhouette and the textures of the character to carry his legibility. model is able to be kept simple, but with enough polys for deformation. The rig was made using the advanced skeleton workflow, but due to time constraints, details like the jacket were left static. For the animations, I made the idle and run animation, with the rest being sourced from Mixmo or coming from the Unreal third-person mannequin animations. Idle was cleaned from mocap, which credits Xavier for being our actor. The run was animated by hand and was made to purposely look choppy. It was inspired by many of those new stylistic animations like Spider-Verse, where they would have shots with a smooth camera, but with sort of held keyframes to put emphasis on poses. I had also contributed to level design slightly by creating a tutorial level for the game. I quickly learned how many things you had to account for when creating a level. The current state of the movement, the art path itself, their layout, feedback, and tech being discovered by playtesters. All of these are things that change the level in some way or another. You would play through it, realize a single bomb jump isn't enough to land on a platform properly, and have to move it down 10 inches and play through it again. The process was pretty time consuming, but it was pretty rewarding in the end seeing people enjoy it. Lastly, I did create explosion VFX for both bomb types, and create a billboard material used for graphics and guides around each level.